Hi, welcome to Grow It's free training series. I'm Purnima Vijay Shankar, the founder of Femgineer, and today I'm joined with Ritika Puri, who is going to be one of the lead instructors for our upcoming Grow It course. Ritika actually began as a student of mine back in 2013, and when she took my course, she was working on a side business then called Story Hackers. Since then, Story Hackers has gone on to becoming a content studio where they've worked with over 100 companies and taken these companies from having no marketing to profitable marketing programs. And she's worked with notable companies like LinkedIn, Dun & Bradstreet, Clarity FM, and so on. And since she's been so wedded into their marketing process, she's not only seen what works and does phenomenally well, but also what doesn't work at all. And in today's lesson, we're going to be tackling the number one marketing mistake that the both of us see people doing all the time, which is not thinking that marketing is important. Now, Ritika, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Purnima, and good to see you, Femgineer community.
Yeah. So you and I probably experience this a lot. We meet founders, whether it's their first time or their 10th time, and over again, they think, let's not bother with marketing, or let's wait until we launch. Why does this happen?
When you're a founder, you are immersed in product development. That is your world. You want to ship. You want to get something out the door. So by the time that you have a working product and you're ready to start marketing, you're starting from ground zero all over again. And you have to really invest in that effort.
Yeah. And I would also say that the market is getting pretty crowded right now for software as a service products, right?
Oh yeah, software as a service products, consumer products. Think about it. The internet has created this massive playing field for everybody. You have competitors from anywhere. You don't even know that these competitors exist. So marketing is more important than ever. You need to know your value proposition, define it, and figure out how to reach your target audience.
Yeah. So all of this happens before you even think about launching, right?
Well before you think about launching, even as you're just in the product ideation stage, even when you're just talking to your customers or potential customers for the first time, you want to plan your marketing in tandem with your product.
Okay, that's great. And is there a right time to do this, or is it just from the very beginning?
As early as possible. So for some founders, it's going to be at the very beginning. For other founders, it's going to be maybe 6 months down the road, maybe 3 months before launch. Just have a plan in place and just so that you have some traction before you launch.
Great. And what are kind of the initial 1 or 2 steps that they need to be taking?
Talk to your customers. Figure out what channels they're hanging out in. So one of the questions that a lot of founders have is, well, what channel should I be using? Should I invest in Facebook ads? Should I do content marketing? And then all of a sudden you have a list this big of things you can do.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? So the easiest way to trim down that list, talk to your customers, see where they're learning about products, and invest in those channels first and foremost.
Great. So I think it would be awesome to share a couple examples with our viewers today. And I know one example that comes to my mind is the company Olark. They do live chat, and if you visited any e-commerce sites or other websites, you've probably seen them. They're that little widget at the bottom where you can talk to a customer support person. And back when they started, I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, they decided that they wanted to bake in marketing to their product because they were primarily a technical team, didn't really like doing a lot of marketing. And what they decided to do was brand their product, and it said Olark on it. And then when people came and checked it out, they immediately had an association, and they slowly started to adopt the product for their websites as well. So I thought that was a great example. Do you have any examples of companies that have done that right from the beginning?
Yeah, Purnima, you bring up such an interesting point. And at their heart, what Olark really did was they figured out something free that they could give away and something that could give value to their target customer bases. And a great example of a company that did something very similar but took a completely different approach is growthhackers.com. So the majority of people in this audience, they probably know of growthhackers.com as a community for really intelligent, savvy marketers to share tips, tricks, and ideas. Well, several years after building this community and growing this community, now they have a SaaS product. And you can imagine how they've really shortened the distance from launch to acquisition because they already have an engaged community of their target market.
Building a community is great. I'm sure it takes a lot of time and effort, though. So for our viewers out there who might decide to go down this path, what are 1 or 2 steps you would recommend they take first?
Yeah, so I think when you think community, you automatically assume thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. But if you think about it, there are all kinds of communities that can exist online. You could start out with an email list. Product Hunt is a notable example here. They actually were an email list when they started, and there's a great story on the founder, Ryan Hoover's blog, where you can read about that more. But think about the people in your immediate community. So, for instance, we were doing content marketing for Clarity FM a few years ago, and we literally needed to kickstart their blog traffic from a starting place. They weren't at zero, but they wanted to grow. So what did we do? We reached out to an interviewee for the blog who had an amazing network of geological associations. So these were small groups that she brought together, and they helped promote the blog post. And it was one of the most widely trafficked blog posts on their site. So there are little things you can do, and every person really makes a difference. You don't need tens of thousands of people. You can have 50 people.
And then that starts to spread through word of mouth.
Yeah, and it spreads through word of mouth.
Now, Ritika and I have a challenge for all of you viewers out there. After watching this lesson, we'd like to know how you're thinking about marketing for your product. Are you going to bake it into your product like Olark did? Are you thinking about building a community like Product Hunt and Growth Hackers? Or are you going to start a blog and then reach out to influencers like Clarity FM? Let us know in the comments below this video. Thanks for joining us today, and we're looking forward to reading your comments.